Hello and welcome to the UBC Master of Data Science Program Alumni Panel Discussion. I'd like to thank you for joining us today and also for your interest in the MDS program. My name is Milad Maymay and I'm the Director of Program Operations and Student Management for the Master of Data Science program, and I will also be your moderator for today. Before we get started, just so you know, this session is being recorded and will be posted on our website. As you can see, we have two of our alumni with us this morning, and they are here to answer your questions about what it is like to be a student in the program and also what they're currently doing after graduation. When you registered for this event, you had the opportunity to let us know what kind of questions you had. And so we'll probably use those questions we'll ask those questions of our alumni but we'll open it up after about 40 minutes to get general questions as well. So if you have any questions about admissions and those kind of things, I'll be here to answer those. And hopefully Nabi and Julia will also be here to answer any questions you have for them. So it's more of a open-ended discussion after 40 minutes. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to try to talk as little as possible and open up the discussion for you guys. So could you introduce yourself, Nabi and Julia, and talk a little bit about what you did before you joined MDS, when you graduated, and what you're doing now? Maybe we'll get started with Nabi.
Well, thanks, Milad, for hosting this webinar. My name is Nabi Zadeh. I'm from cohort 7, so I finished MDS in April 2023. I started in 2022. Prior to MDS, I had a bit of mix-up experience in the marketing analytics space and the marketing strategy. So my background is coming from holding an MBA degree, working in the marketing space for almost 5 to 6 years prior to the MDS. And after MDS, with the skills that I gained through this program, I was able to kind of combine those expertise and the knowledge that I gained from MDS. And I started working as an associate director of marketing analytics for a marketing agency called Klick, which is the largest independent pharmaceutical sciences marketing agency. And now I'm a director of analytics, managing a team of 4 to 5 analyst team members. So this how basically the journey for me looked like before and after MDS.
Great, thanks, Nabi. Julia, welcome.
Thank you both. My name's Julia Everitt. I finished MDS in 2024, and prior to that, I did an undergrad in engineering physics at Queen's University. Took a brief 4-month travel gap, and then from there went straight to MDS. Towards the end of the program, I heard about a career opportunity at Connor Clark and Lunn Investment Management through one of the MDS info sessions, and that's where I'm working now as a quantitative equity analyst.
Great, thank you very much. So let's get right into the questions here. These are the questions that people submitted when they registered for this seminar, for this talk. So I'm just going to go, I've selected the ones that, the most frequently asked questions, and also some that I thought were quite interesting. If you have any other questions, participants, you can also post them in the Q&A box in Zoom. The first question is, what key skills should an applicant focus on improving before starting the program, in your opinion? Feel free to jump in.
Julia, you want to go first?
Yeah.
So how to prepare for the program? What skills and courses, or what do you recommend that they do before joining the MDS program?
Yeah. So something I really appreciated in the program was at the start, we kind of helped build everybody's foundation in computer science, in statistics, in all of those key courses. So I would say anything that you can do to start building that foundation prior to the program starting is really going to help you get a head start. And if I remember right, there are some prerequisite materials that are provided. So if you're uncomfortable in any of those areas, for example, for myself, I didn't have too much of a statistics background prior to joining. it'll really pay off if you can start reviewing those and then just feel a little bit more prepared at the start.
Yeah. Pretty much building on what Julia mentioned here is that if you go to UBC MDS website, at least there was a file like this when I applied for the MDS program. There was one file actually telling if you are able to answer these questions, you are pretty much in a space that you can feel that you have the enough foundation to start MDS. Go through that file. Just go through MDS website and find that file. There are like 7 to 10 questions, and they're a mix of calculus, statistics, linear algebra, computer science questions that they can actually help you to build that foundation. But if I want to kind of insist in 2 fields that they will help you a lot to get prepared for the MDS program would be, first of all, the programming logic, to just know how the code works, how to read a code, how to write a simple syntax, and at the same time, how algebra works, how matrices are multiplied to each other, how you can calculate an eigenvalue of a matrix, something like that. It might be a little bit complicated at the beginning, but that's going to help you a lot moving through the program and making it happen.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add a couple of things to that. So Julia started talking about the prereqs. So the prereqs for the program, so courses that you have to have before applying to the program or before starting the program are an introductory course in programming, an introductory course in statistics, calculus, and linear algebra. It's actually calculus or linear algebra, but if you have both, it's probably a little bit better. So you can kind of self-assess and before you apply for the program or before you start the program and think about what is my weak point here. Maybe you have more of a programming background or you've taken more programming courses and statistics is your weak point. Maybe you want to take like an online statistics refresher course or something like that in the summer before you start the program. Or the other way around, if you have a stronger math or statistics background and you haven't done as much programming, maybe you want to take a introductory or a refresher programming course in Python or R or something like that before you start the program. So it's kind of like a self-assessment, kind of try to think what your weaknesses are and try to strengthen those in the summer. Or maybe you've taken, you have all the prerequisites, but you've taken them a while ago, like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. You probably want to do a little bit of a refresher in the summer before you start the program and hit the ground running in September. All right, great. Thank you so much for that answer. Another question that comes up a lot is about whether you recommend or you think that people should have a computer science or programming degree before joining this program, or is it more geared towards people with all kinds of different backgrounds? And I think we answered that a little bit already, but maybe we can go into that a little bit more.
I can start. So I feel that there is no limit on how you can actually pivot your skill sets to be a right candidate to for MDS program. Of course, there are some pre-required background, like what just Vanessa shared in the chat. But I think that there is no definitive answer saying, oh, you gotta be having a computer science degree to be a good applicant in the MDS program. Because one of the good things about MDS is that it blends people with a different background, coming from marketing, coming from computer science, coming from engineering, coming from even mathematics and statistics. So that is a beautiful blend of people that you can actually be in the class with them and learn from them. So if MDS was supposed to accept students from one only field, that diversity would never happen through the classes. So that's why I never say that you got to have like one specific background to make it to MDS.
Very well said, Nabi. I think to build on that, in my cohort, there was definitely a non-insignificant amount of people who came in without that computer science background. So you have tons of resources throughout the program, access to office hours and TAs. So if you come into the program without that background, there are tons of opportunities to build it up.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know if you agree, but I think one of the strengths of the program is that you get to work with people who have all kinds of different backgrounds, as Nabi was saying, engineering, business, marketing, also computer science and statistics. But that's, I think, actually one of the strengths of the program. So people come in with different backgrounds and kind of learn together and get the skills to get employed after, hopefully.
I completely agree.
Great. Awesome. Um, So, can you, so this is an intensive accelerated program. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like how difficult is it? What does it mean that it's intensive and accelerated? If you don't have a programming background or computer science background, how intensive or difficult is it?
Julia, you want to go first?
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, so in terms of the program intensity, from, if I remember correctly, from Monday to Thursday, you would have classes from, say, 9 a.m. until roughly lunchtime. And then in the afternoon, you would have a lab. You're taking 4 courses at a time, and you would have an assignment for each of them each week. It's organized very comprehensively, so the difficulty builds over time. But from the get-go, you're going to be doing lots of assignments and staying on top of lots of work. So it is definitely a full-time commitment, but I think that comes with a lot of benefits, especially in terms of sort of like networking. I got so close with all the people in my cohort, and I think that was such an advantage of the program, especially as somebody new to Vancouver to now, after the program, have this wonderful network of friends, professional connections that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So it is definitely intense, but it is manageable, and you make a lot of great friends along the way through that.
Yeah, exactly. Well said here, Julia. Just one thing kind of build on what Julia mentioned here is that it's intense, and that intensity basically needed the special design of for this program. So that's why you go to the classes from like 8 a.m. to noon, and then you have like from 12 p.m. to like 2 p.m. as a time for your lunch, catching up with some assignments, and hanging out with the people at the MDS, right? And then 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. is the classes. Yes, it is intense. It is 4 days, 5 days a week, like this kind of like plan for 10 months. But imagine the time that you spend with those people. I have friends from all over the place, from my work, from my UBC class, from my undergrad class, from my colleagues and everywhere. But I think those relationship and the friendship and the learnings that I had through those times that I could find between the classes because of the intensity of that program, like were like the times that actually I made real friendships, and I really like that. And we're all helping each other. Like the MDS becomes a community at the end of the day because of this intensity, because of this like accelerated growth that you're all experiencing.
Great. Thank you.
Also,
Yeah.
sorry,
Sorry,
just
go ahead.
to
Yeah.
Go
continue
ahead.
adding on that, I also really liked how at the end of an intense block of classes, there would be like a couple-day break before you begin the next block. And that was always such a fun time to kind of celebrate with your cohort that you made it through another block and yeah, get closer with them.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. So there's questions about whether it's possible to work full-time or part-time, and I think I can speak to that, and I think you spoke to this as well. It's not a good idea to have a full-time job while you're doing the MDS program because you're going to be in class full-time Monday to Thursday, as Julia was saying, from early morning to late afternoon, 4 p.m. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, you'll be working on assignments because you have to submit them on Saturday evening. And then maybe you can take a rest on Sunday and then start again on Monday for 10 months. So it is probably not possible to work full time. We have had some students that have a maybe stronger background in computer science or programming or data science who've tried to work part-time and they've done it, but also probably not the best idea to work at all because of the intensity program of the program.
Yeah. I think I worked part-time in a Pilates studio, but it was like super low intensity, like maybe 5 hours a week, and I would not have done much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like I dedicated pretty much the first 6 to 7 blocks to the full MDS program. Like it starts from September and it goes all the way till April. So you have like blocks of courses and then you have your capstone. I worked part-time during the capstone. Prior to that, during all of those courses, I decided to kind of be really focused on the course materials because, to be honest, I didn't want to just kind of like half-ass it. Like I didn't want to like kind of like be in a place that I need to focus on my MDS course, on my assignments. And to be honest, there are a lot of ways to just bypass the ways that you do things. But there is only one way to go deep on one topic, and that's about spending time. It's not about anything else. So I decided to spend time, and I highly recommend everyone to pretty much spend that time to go deep with those expertise that they're gaining through this program.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say the more you put into the program, the more you get out, right? So if you put a little bit into it, you'll get a little bit out of it. But the more you put into it, the more you get out. Because aside from class courses and labs, there's also extracurriculars. Like there is social activities, there is alumni that come back and give talks, there is information sessions. Julia, you talked about that, how you found your position. There is career fairs at UBC, big ones, small ones. So there's a lot of other things you can do as well. So even for those things, the more you put in, the more you get out.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your experience in applying to the program. What do you think will make an application stand out and will what makes a good application? What makes a good applicant in your opinion? And I can speak to that as well, like if you because I see a lot of different applications.
I can talk about my case. Like if I look at my statement of purpose when I applied for this program, I feel for those who have a work experience, for those who have some after graduation type of work experience, it's really important to understand where you're at right now, and then where do you want to be after MDS program. So the way that I crafted my statement of purpose was like, I'm here, I'm doing this job, I want to do MDS to be in this specific position. So I pictured it. I pictured how MDS is helping me. And to be honest, that exactly happened. Like prior to MDS, I was like in a kind of an individual contributor role, mainly doing like things by myself and trying to figure out everything by myself. But then the skills that I gained from MDS helped me to manage a group of people that they know that skills. So that was exactly what I mentioned in my SOP. So the moral of the story is that when you're writing that SOP, for those who have a work experience, make sure that you picture your current status and the final state and how MDS is helping to fill that delta, to fill that gap. That's my experience coming from a background of someone had experience, like work experience before. But I think Julia can basically walk us over like how being a graduate and then applying for MDS looks like.
Yeah, thank you for that perspective on applying post a few years in a role. For me, when I was finishing my undergrad at Queen's, I was quite keen to get more. I did my minor within engineering in computing, and I was quite keen to get more into that space. And that was something that I had highlighted in my application, my interest there. I'd also highlighted how much I liked the sort of program format of engineering physics and how that was quite similar to MDS and how I thought I would thrive in that as well. So it's quite intense, quite collaborative, and those are quite similar between MDS and engineering physics. And yeah, I think highlighting how I felt that I would thrive in the program was a benefit for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit more as well. I completely agree with what Nabi said about the gap thing. So we want to, when we're reading applications, we want to see how MDS will fill a gap that you have identified in your background, in your skill set, in your career. And so you need to let us know that's the reason why you want to take MDS, because you want to bridge that gap. So we're not looking, you're not applying for a job, right? So we're not looking for applications that just list all the good things that you've done and all the data science skills that you have and all the programming languages that you know. We want to see why you want to take this MDS program and how it's going to help you bridge that gap. The other thing I wanted to say is there is not one, like we look at your application as a whole. So we look at we're not just looking at your grades. Or if you have high grades, you're in. We look at your grades, we look at your personal statement, we look at your references, we look at your work experience, your resume, we look at your goal statement, everything together, and how that tells your story and how that fits into MDS and how that will help you become successful in the program and get employed after. So it's a kind of a holistic view of your application. When we talk about work experience, we don't mean data science related work experience. You can have any kind of work experience because let's say you're working in a lab as a biologist and your lab is collecting all this data, but nobody in your lab knows what to do with this data. So that's why you want to take MDS, so you can take that back to your biology lab and make sense of all that data, right? So you don't have data science background, but you have biology work experience, so that's good, right? So
Exactly.
it doesn't have to be data science related work experience. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be full-time work experience or paid work experience. It could be volunteer, it could be co-op, it could be internships. So you don't have to have graduated for a few years before you can get into the program. You can
Exactly.
apply right after.
And I loved how you framed this, Milad, because MDS is a set of skill sets required to be successful, I would say, in pretty much any role. Like without data, you can make some decisions, but that's not a data-driven decision. Like you may think, okay, marketing, like what does data do with marketing, or engineering, like what does data do with engineering? I think MDS offers this wide set of skill sets that it acts as a toolbox. You keep it in your pocket and you basically elevate your career. So don't be afraid of not having like the direct data related experience. Any work experience that requires a gap filler like MDS, that's pretty much to the point. That's pretty much what MDS is looking for the next students.
Awesome. Thank you. Another question is about the in-person aspect of the MDS program. There's a lot of online programs. So somebody is asking, what are the benefits of taking MDS in person and on campus versus maybe another program online? I think we talked about that already a little bit, but
Mm. I can say it's about commitment. To be honest, like I personally feel that when I try to commit myself to an online program, I feel that lack of motivation and that lack of structured support that I can get from my classmates. But in the MDS program, and the way that the program is designed, the way that the profs are helping you, the way that the MDS support structure is there for you to learn all these skill sets, it's somehow unique. And it's not an advertisement. Like I tried to do a lot of data science programs before MDS. I tried UC Davis program. I tried Harvard's program. I tried all of those online programs on Coursera to do them before MDS. And I didn't quite have the success because I felt that commitment to in-person attendance and that communication and that networking vibe that you get by being at MDS is crucial. And that's why it makes it successful. And that's why you feel that, okay, you're in a halo of people learning a really cool thing. And that halo effect helps you to elevate your skill sets as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. The commitment from being in person is just so hard to match with an online course, as well as the relationships you build, both with your peers as well as with professors and TAs. I personally could not see myself being as comfortable like asking questions in classes, going to office hours if I didn't have those in-person connections with our mentors. So I think it's a huge value add.
Great. Thank you. There's a question about how much teamwork and collaboration happens during the program.
July, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So there are several group-focused assignments. I don't remember the exact structure, but you have many opportunities to work collaboratively with your peers on assignments. And then personally, for me, the mantra from engineering is always like engineering is a team sport, and I totally feel like I brought that to MDS as well. I would work on almost all of my assignments, sort of bouncing ideas off of my peers, seeing what worked for them, and just trying to get a better, deeper understanding of the content by chatting with them about it. So collaboration skills are super helpful.
I think from the very early first course that you take, like 511 till all the way till the end to the capstone, there are team working opportunities, and there are some courses actually they put you in teams. The assignments are delivered in terms of teams, and you know why? Because working in a real workspace is a collaborative environment. You're not working individually. You're working with a group of people, and you have one GitHub repository that everyone needs to push their changes into it. So you need to learn how to work collaboratively. And actually, there are courses like in the MDS program, like the collaborative software development, collaborative data science application development. And once you're talking about collaborativeness, you're talking pretty much about everything happening in the group. I remember all those times that we were spending in our groups, and pretty much at the beginning of each course, you were getting this random assignment to the teammates. It was fun, and it was really a great way of learning, because I think that helped us to be kind of like really focused on the skill set that they matter most in the data science space. And right now, like, no one is in the individual contributor. They're all individual contributor working together. So teamwork is extremely promoted through this program, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you tell us what the most practical skill set or experience was that you gained through this program?
I think one on the note of collaborative development is just being super comfortable using Git. I was such a Git, like, not expert prior to the program, and I would break things every time I tried to commit code. But now I use that every single day, and having that comfort definitely made my onboarding at work a lot smoother.
I can pretty much kind of confirm the same feeling and the same level of, I would say, fear that I had in the space of like working collaboratively with the different team members. But I feel in MDS, no matter like where's your background in terms of your technical expertise, the courses and the structure of those courses crafted in a way that makes sure that everyone learns those skills. Everyone has this opportunity to learn either by themselves or either the time that they spend on the class or the time that they actually spend during those team assignments, because those are the great examples that you can learn from your classmates. And for me personally, those hours are like much more efficient in terms of me trying to like bang my head against the wall learning a new thing, because you immediately ask a question from your teammate and then you realize that, oh, there's a faster fix for this problem, or there's a faster solution to solve this problem, for example.
Awesome. Let's stay in this practicality of the program a little bit more. There's questions about how practical the curriculum is, and do you work with real world data and industry tools like Python, R, or SQL? Another question very similar is, how does the curriculum stay up to date with the current industry trends and with the rapidly changing technology landscape?
One of the signals that tells you that MDS is a practical program is that you will do MDS, you will graduate, you go to a job, and then you still have access to this MDS alumni GitHub repository, and you would go to revisit that every 6 weeks, every 6 months, every year. And because the courses are getting updated, and you as the MDS alumni, you get access to that like GitHub repository that puts all of the updated courses in it. And you go to the job and you realize that, okay, those are the exact things that I need to grab from MDS. So even though I work, I have all of my GitHub repositories of all of my courses cloned on my current laptop and my current work laptop, because I can actually go to those assignments and see how did I code for this and how did I do this. Yes, the chat GPTs of the world are there to help you to accelerate your coding skills, but the thinking that you had to solve one segmentation problem, one clustering problem, one linear regression problem, one causal inference problem, those are the ones dedicated to you. Those are the ones that you built by yourself through this program. So I personally find myself pretty much every once a while going back to my MDS courses and see how did I that program. And that tells how practical were those assignments that I did through the MDS program. That's an example. I think bringing example helps here.
Very well said. I completely agree with that. I still reference my old MDS materials from time to time as well. I also use Python almost every day in my current role, R as well, and a few other languages. And I think just that skill of learning Python, learning how to do it in R, that comfort of learning multiple languages is a very helpful skill as well. One other thing I really appreciated that we learned in the program was just understanding LLMs and how they work. I think that's playing such a big role in everybody's role right now. And just having that basic understanding, that foundation of what it's doing is so helpful when it comes to applying that to what you're doing.
I remember we were at our, I think, last dinner at our cohort and pretty much like finishing all the programming. It was like, I think the capstone presentation or something. And we were like hanging out with a group of like friends, and we were like really honestly talking about MDS program. And I think we all agreed to one sentence, is that MDS teaches you how to do data science. It's about how to hold that pot, how to hold that spatula, how to hold that spoon to cook something. It's not about teaching you the zero to hero. It's actually about teaching you how to be a hero. And I think that's something that I really appreciate MDS for, is that it kind of destroyed the fear of being a data scientist. That is something that MDS builds in you. It's a courage that I can understand every API document. I can go to this website and learn how these things is coded. And I can go to this GitHub repository and clone it and do a fork and make some updates for myself. This is this is the, I would say, courage that MDS gives you. So like, I personally appreciate this program because of this specific skill set, because you gain that courage to do practical things.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think that's a great segue to the next question, which says, can you speak to how this program will give me lasting skills that are not prone to being eroded or eclipsed by the development of AI tools, and AI assistant bots? So how is AI going to replace the data scientists? Basically, that's the question, right?
I have an answer, but Julia, you want to go first? But I have like an experience, but like you go first.
I think you said it so well in that last answer, that you're really just building up this skill set that can then be transferable to really any project or any role. Yeah, my experience working with AI for doing my role right now is that it's not quite there yet, and we still will need those people who understand what a correct output is going to look like. And yeah, I still feel like my background from MDS is helping me a lot.
That's exactly the point. First of all, AI is not there yet. Like the tools, that the use cases that they're out there, they are not there to place us as humans. So in this space, there are two different approaches. You can either stay out, say, I don't want to learn this because one day AI is going to get my job. Or you could actually face it and say, I'm going to learn how AI works, how large language models work, how basic machine learning algorithms work, and how can I have artificial intelligence besides me, not as artificial intelligence, but as assisted intelligence. Like, this is an experience that I have in my job, is that my understanding of large language models, my understanding of how these agentic workflows work, helps me to actually build products that they combine AI with my day-to-day work, and that helps the offering of my business. That helps the offering of my company. It's not about us being threatened that AI gets our job. It's actually about us learning how AI works and how we can make AI to work in our service, make AI to work for us, not AI works instead of us. I think this is the way that we need to learn, is that if you don't know how large language models work, of course, one day it will take your job. But if you know, there is a chance that you might be the one who conquers that competition and who is able to build a product that basically makes AI to serve you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We only have a few minutes left, so in this portion, and then we'll open it up. We'll go to the Q&A. So speaking about practicality, the last 2 months or 8 weeks of the program is the capstone. Can you talk a little bit about what your capstone project was about and how it helped you? Maybe what is capstone, what it was about, what you did, if you remember, and how it helped you.
I can start. I loved my capstone, and it was an amazing experience. And because that was an opportunity for me to, first of all, wrap up MDS with the greatest people that I've ever met and worked with and learned from. So you're like actually doing a project with your classmates that you went to the classes for 8 months with them. My capstone project was with the biggest mining exploration company on the planet, called Rio Tinto. It's a basically company coming from Latin America, and then it has like the entire like franchise of businesses across the world. We worked on developing a neural network that identifies clouds from satellite images. So imagine, like, this is a really complicated project. This is like about a segmentation project and understanding how to identify those diffused cloud patterns. Like, it's not something that it's just like coming from a linear regression model or like a really basic model. It was a pretty much a sophisticated and advanced project. I liked it a lot because it helped me how to work closely with three other professionals that they know the same science at your level. So you learn about collaborative work settings. You learn about how you actually build a client-facing report, how you actually present this final report and the final project to your capstone partner, that company that brings the problem to you and they want you to solve it, right? So it teaches you presentation skills, it teaches you collaboration working skills, it teaches you outside of the box thinking. And honestly, that outside of the box thinking and do not reinventing the wheel was the solution for us. So we learned a lot. And I think that was really cool project that we had a chance to learn about it. But Julia, how was your capstone experience?
Yeah, I think I can echo a lot of what you said. I had a super positive capstone experience. For my project, I got to work with Boeing, and we were doing a sort of object detection project where we were working with I believe it was like airport related charts, and kind of building a smarter way for them to ingest that data. So interesting to work with such a well-known company. We actually got the opportunity to present at their head office at the end of the project. And yeah, we learned so much, and it was just so so cool getting to work with the Boeing team.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So at this point, I'm just going to go through the Q&A box. There are some questions that are maybe a little bit more geared to me as the operations person and admissions person, but there is also some questions for you. So if you could stick around a little bit longer, we would really appreciate it. The first question is for Julia. How do you find this field compared to working as an engineer? What do you like better, and what made you transition out of engineering?
It is a good question, and it's a bit difficult to answer just because engineering is so broad, but I can kind of talk about the engineering role that I was looking at and how my role right now looks different. So prior to doing MDS, the engineering role I was planning to go into was more engineering consulting. So that involved a more in-person aspect to my job where I would be going into different production facilities and looking at ways to optimize that. Something that I really like about my job right now is the virtual friendly lifestyle where, for example, my family's in Toronto, I live in Vancouver. It's very flexible if I want to go home and visit my family and work remotely for some time. So the lifestyle was a big aspect of it. I also really like how in the data science, quantitative finance sort of world, it feels very innovative, where we're working with LLMs, we're working with all these cutting edge techniques. And I really feel like I'm just developing all the time and learning so much. So you can definitely get those things in engineering as well. But for what I wanted to do, this is the type of skill set that I wanted to be developing.
Amazing. Thank you. A question here from Alice. It's more for me. For the interview, will be asked about technical questions. So anybody who submits an application will get a link at the end of probably January, early February, to a virtual interview that you have to record and submit to us. Those interview questions are not technical questions because, as we kind of said throughout this discussion, you don't have to have a technical data science background in order to apply for the program. As long as you meet those 3 or 4 prerequisites, you can apply for the program. So the questions are more behavioral. What would you do in this situation? What do you think of this? So I'm not going to give away the questions, but it's not technical at all. And then Alice says she has a finance background and not CS, and that's why she was asking. And then she's saying, I'm currently missing one prerequisite course, but I plan to enroll in January or May. Will that be okay? And the answer is yes. So you have to have finished the prerequisites prior to the start of the program. So the program starts in September. So we recommend that you finish the prereqs probably the latest, mid to end or early to mid August. So if you haven't finished one of the prerequisites, then and we want to give you an offer, we'll give you a conditional offer, and the condition would be for you to finish the prereq at a B plus average. And once you've done that, and you can show that to us on a transcript, and we'll remove the condition, and you'll be able to start the program. So you don't have to finish all the prereqs before you apply. You can finish them sometime in the summer at the latest, like early to mid-August, the latest. I hope that answered your question, Alice. What do you think sets you apart from other applicants when you applied? How do you think that MDS has set you apart within the industry? So two questions from Maxine. So what do you think? I think we talked about this already, so maybe you might want to keep this short, but how do you think you stood out as an applicant? And then the second part of the question is, after graduating from MDS, how do you think MDS has set you apart within the industry?
For me personally, was that UBC reputation and the MDS skill set, to be honest. I feel like UBC Master of Data Science program is a really well-crafted, nuanced, niche program that is designed to look really strong on your resume. And it depends how you present it. Like, for example, when I went to this interview of my current job, there was a part of this job process that they were actually asking us to present a case study. So they shared a data with me, and I was like, okay, go present it. I could go really basic, take it into Excel and do some pivot tables and present it. But I used the skill sets that I gained through MDS, and I built a really nice Dash app, really cool visualization, and reviewed it with them throughout the call. And I showcased it to them. And that was pretty much, I think, that got me a job. So I think the differentiator is actually the skill sets that you learn and the way that you can actually leverage them into your day-to-day job hunting or like current work setting expertise. I think that's the differentiator for how MDS sets you apart from the other applicants for this market.
Thanks, Nabi.
Yeah, and for me, I think the MDS industry connections played a big role for me. I was super lucky that the company that I'm currently working at has a strong relationship with MDS and recruited directly out of that program. If I hadn't been introduced to this company through MDS, I don't think I would have ever looked at roles like this or thought I was qualified for them. So that connection was super valuable. And then once I got into the interview process, my capstone project was a really excellent case study to sort of share and outline my technical abilities with.
Amazing. Thank you. Another question is also probably for me. So this person says, I will finish my undergrad degree in August 2026. Will I be eligible for the September 2026 intake? And the answer is, I think we said that, we established that before. Yes. So again, if you are in your last year, you can apply now. If we want to send you an offer, it'll be a conditional offer, and the conditions will be for you to finish your degree with the required minimum grades. And the other question, I think there's a confusion. We don't have a January 2027 intake, so we only have one intake a year, which is every September. So the MDS programs only has one intake a year, and it's every year in September. And the applications are currently open for the September 2026 intake. Hopefully that answered that question. Another question for Julia here from Laura. What is the job outlook? And maybe this is also for Nabi. What is the job outlook for compared to engineering? So I guess what's the job outlook for data scientists, data analysts, those kind of jobs compared to engineering? And Laura says, engineering tends to be a very stable field and there is always work. What's the job outlook for data analyst and how saturated is the field compared to the industry needs?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Laura. I think the general sentiment is that it's a bit of a tough market at the time for a lot of people. Comparing engineering to data science, I haven't applied to many engineering jobs, so I don't know that I can give a very educated answer on that. But I think what's really important is applying to something that you're passionate about. And I think if you can demonstrate that passion in the interview process, that's going to get you as far as anything.
Yeah, thank you.
From the experience that I had from my cohort, I don't want to name my classmates, but pretty much all of those who were coming to MDS from the engineering program, they ended up in working pretty much the same industry like engineering, but they changed their departments. So imagine they used to be in the design department of a civil engineering company. Now they are working in the data science and data analysis department. So because data science and large language models and all these AI hype is becoming really widespread, even the basic really low-level engineering companies are thinking about opening a new AI or application development division. And that's where, for someone who has an engineering background, that engineering context, and knows data science skill sets, that's going to be a really great match to work on those teams. And honestly, for me personally, that was the fact that got me a really good job, because I had that marketing background, and then I blended it with data science, and I got a new job in the marketing analyst, right? Pretty much all of my classmates that they were coming from like right after graduation in civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and we had a couple of other folks from electrical engineering. They got a job again within the same industry, within the same pretty much company, and within the data science division, within the data analytics division. And that's how they wanted to form their career. And like, once we're looking at it, career path like Julia's, nothing prohibits you to stay within engineering or go out of engineering. It's just like there are opportunities within the engineering space blended with data science as well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the data science industry is there's so many variety, there's so much variety, so many different industry you can go to that I think Julia was saying it earlier, like she probably wouldn't have imagined that she would be working in quantitative finance um, before she applied to the MDS program. And I hear that story a lot. Like we have students working in the construction industry, and
Yeah.
that student was talking to me the other day and said, I never thought that I would be working in the construction industry. But there is opportunities in a lot of different industry. And I think you have to, like Julia said, it's a tough job market right now. But the more open-minded you are, the easier it is for you to find employment. And the other thing, and I don't know if you experience the same thing, or if you're obviously not applying for jobs, but I think there's still a lot of jobs out there for data analysts and data scientists. But I think the competition for those jobs is higher. There's a lot of people applying for those jobs. And I think that's why it becomes important that you have a very strong skill set in order for you to make yourself stand out and be one of the people that gets the job, rather than the other hundreds of people that apply for the job. And maybe MDS can make you stand out. And that's why also networking becomes more and more important, because the network you build within MDS and the alumni community that we have built will help you kind of put yourself ahead of maybe other people that are applying for the same jobs.
Yeah.
All right. I hope that answered that question. Ryan says, what features of an application are necessary to overcome lower grades? Um, so uh, I mentioned earlier that we look at your whole applications. We don't only look at one part of your application, your grades or your work experience or anything. So um, that's why even if you have lower grades, if you can make that up with some kind of work experience, or if you can explain why you have lower grades, maybe there was one semester where you were sick, or you had a family emergency, or you had to work to make ends meet, those kind of things, we will take that into consideration. Just put that in your application. Um, you can also make up lower grades. Let's say, for example, you have a lower grade in your programming prerequisites. And then you take another course, a refresher course in the summer, and then you get a higher grade. We will also look at that. So we don't only look at the grades that you got 5, 6 years ago. We also look at recent grades. Maybe you can enroll in a programming course and show us that you've actually uh, you can get a higher grade than you got maybe 4 or 5 years ago in your undergrad degree. So there is different ways where you can make up your lower grade, whether it's experience or refresher courses, or just explaining why maybe your GPA is low. Maybe there is a good reason why it was the case. We have 6 minutes left, so I'll try to go through as many questions as possible. Um, As an international student, which are the things to be taken care of before planning for MDS program? Uh, Yeah, I think that's a very open-ended question. There's a lot of things. Obviously, it's a full-time intensive program, so hopefully you can get all your obviously your study permit sorted out, your housing, finances, all that stuff. Moving to a new country, there's a lot of challenges, and I think it's maybe too broad to talk about that here. But feel free to email us, and we'll try to help you out as much as possible. UBC also has an international student development office. You can also contact them and make an appointment and kind of talk about settling in Canada, study permits, visas, and those kind of things with the International Student Development Office. Just Google search UBC International Student Development. All right, Gurpreet is asking, can Julia and Nabi please describe what's a day in a junior data analyst role like? What kind of work does he or she do, and the kinds of mentorships that are provided at this role? So it's a broad question, but I don't know if you can speak to that quickly.
I can again speak to that quickly. As a junior analyst, you'll be mainly working on a lot of data that they need a lot of attention in terms of wrangling, in terms of cleaning, in terms of preparing for modeling. So it depends on the industry. Your day-to-day might be focused on really, like I would say, focused way of writing SQL queries, retrieve the data, or actually writing Python codes to clean the data. So it could be like variable across all the industries, but I would say a life of a junior analyst, at least for the first like 3 to 6 months, is going to be about learning the data structures, cleaning it, preparing it for modeling, and sometimes getting into modeling space as well. And that's how a junior analyst role looks like. However, not everyone graduating from the MDS will end up being a junior analyst. We're all ending up in different roles. We have like people ending up in a machine learning engineer position, senior analyst engineer, senior analyst position, director level position, manager level position, engineer level position. So it's not just that MDS helps you to become a junior analyst, but that is how the life of a junior analyst looks like.
Yeah, and I would say that my role is a bit more process engineering than data analyst. So my day-to-day is more focused on building scalable, robust investment processes, and also thinking about how we can leverage AI in our workflows to make them more efficient. So a bit non-traditional.
Right. Great. Thank you. If you're curious about what kind of jobs and job titles our alumni have gotten, our previous graduates have gotten, maybe Vanessa, who's working in the background, can post a link to our outcomes. There's a page on our website where we show, how many people found jobs, what percentage of people found jobs, and some sample job titles, where they found their jobs, salaries, those kind of things. So maybe Vanessa can share that in the chat. Yes, there it is. Thank you. Couple more minutes. There's a couple of quick questions that I can answer. Does the MDS still qualify for a post-grad work permit? The answer is yes. And the provincial nominee program, the answer is yes. There's been some changes recently to those programs, but MDS still qualifies for that. Again, if you want, you can talk to the International Student Development Office. They have more up-to-date information, or go to their website. So hopefully that answered your question, Ethan. There is a quick question about if you already have a master's degree, can you still apply? And the answer is yes. We have several, a lot of, not a lot, but a certain percentage of students who already have a master's degree, a different master's degree, or even a PhD. The majority would be with an undergrad degree, but there is definitely a significant percentage of students who have already a different master's or PhD. Let me see.
I'm trying to kind of type the answer to a couple of questions, especially the last one.
Perfect. I think I'm going to leave it at that. It's 1:30. I want to be conscious of everyone's time. Nabi and Julia, thank you so much for your time and for answering all those questions. We really appreciate it. I think our alumni are one of the, I think I can probably say one of the most important relationships that we built within the program. And if you, as participants, have more questions, you can always email us at info-mds@science.ubc.ca, and we'll try to answer all your questions as soon as we can. Other than that, I'm really looking forward to hearing more from you and reading your applications. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good day.
Thanks so much, everyone.